Most people love to speculate what Victoria will look like in 10 years. But the truth is, you don't need to guess. If you just look at the trends that are already unfolding and the plans that the municipalities of Victoria have in place, it's pretty clear what our city will look like. So in today's video, I'm going to unpack all this for you. I'm going to share what it is that's impacting the growth and direction of our city, and most importantly, what it's going to feel like to live here in 10 years. I'm Sean P, and if you're new to the channel, I'm a real estate broker who lives in Victoria, BC, and we post videos every week about how to navigate our market. So if you always want to know what's happening next and the best strategies to use, make sure that you like and subscribe so you don't miss anything we have coming up. As well, if you have plans involving real estate, you can use the link in the description to book some time with me. I'd love to be part of your next move. Okay, let's jump in. There's an old saying, it takes a long time to turn a big ship. And it's not really actually about marine navigation, although I'm sure it's true with larger ships. It's more just a reflection that the larger a group of people or an organization or a city becomes, the harder it is to pivot because they have inertia. They've been doing things that work for them for a long time. So if you want to alter those things, you've got to overcome the inertia they already have in place. And so in today's video, we're not going to speculate. I'm not going to try to guess what the future holds. And instead, what we're going to do is we're just going to unpack where our trajectory is right now, what new trends we're seeing, and what edits the municipalities are trying to make to better our city in the future. So if you want to know what 2035 is going to look like, we're going to unpack it and we're going to break it down in areas like housing, transportation, infrastructure, public works, and we're going to give you a great idea of what kind of environment we're going to have to live in 10 years, who it's going to attract, and most importantly, is it going to be better or worse? What better place to kick things off than one of Victoria's most contentious topics, and also the topic that happens to be the theme of our channel, which is our housing market. If we look at our housing market over the past 15 years, the theme has been rising prices and limited availability. And I'm not going to jump into the cause of all that. I made a whole other video that you can go check out, which explains the whole thing. But suffice to say that we are starving for more places for people to live. And it's a big challenge that we have because it affects everything. Tradespeople who want to help us build new inventory can't even live here because they have so much trouble finding a home. Now, that's just one example. But to drill things down, one of the main misconceptions that we hear when we hear people talking about our housing market is that there's just no more space downtown. And the reality is there's actually lots of space. It's just not horizontal space. The only space that we have left is to grow up. Now, this is something that Victoria hasn't really gotten comfortable yet with. If we look at other major urban skylines like Toronto and Vancouver, they're littered with 30, 50 to 80-story towers, and that's just now the norm. But in Victoria, we scarcely get above 20 stories. Well, this is something that's going to change in the next decade, and I personally think it's a really good thing. It will change the skyline of our city, but the truth is that it's going to land in very dense and isolated pockets. Now, Harris Green is a perfect example. This is a very large development. It'll be 4 phases of over 1,500 units by the time it's done. It'll include 100,000 square feet of commercial space, and it's located in just a few city blocks. So it'll allow us to increase density, and it'll also create the protection for the remainder of our neighborhoods, that it's not going to be so much of a spattering effect that's going to be a draw on all the services everywhere. It's going to be more concentrated. Now, one thing that's unfortunate is that our condo market hasn't really been the hottest segment. And so Harris Green is actually a purpose-built rental building. There aren't going to be any properties for sale. What my hopes are when our market starts to get back to a healthier place is that we see more construction for sale projects taking place with larger developments. One other really exciting trend is that we're starting to see larger units. This will make it easier for people to live as a family in a tower, as opposed to having to continually upgrade into larger and larger detached homes, which are notoriously expensive. Staying downtown, another trend we'll continue to see evolve in the next decade is that Victoria will continue to lean more heavily towards a cycle-first culture. When we look at infrastructure plans surrounding roadworks, we are continually adding protected bike lanes and prioritizing pedestrian access. Now, cars aren't going to go away. We aren't going to become a city that's only accessible by bike, but what will happen is we will continue to see traffic calming, driving will feel slower and more intentional, and people will continue to be encouraged to take personal transport like bicycles, public transit, or just to walk. The last thing I want to touch on when it comes to our housing is rental affordability. Now, people are seeing boutique rental mid-rise buildings popping up everywhere. These are the wood-framed 4 to 6 story buildings that are popping up all over the core and the West Shore. And these are great because they're adding a lot of nice, high-quality stock to our rental market. What they aren't necessarily adding is affordability. Now, most of these developments will have a small segment of affordable units that they designate. It qualifies them for better funding and stuff like that, and that's great, but that's not going to apply to an everyday Joe who has a job and a family and is just trying to get through life. Now, importantly, rents actually did go down a little bit this year, and that's great. And a part of that does have to do with the fact that we have more stock in our rental inventory here in Victoria. But what they aren't showing you is that the rental stock that came down in price isn't the new inventory. It's mostly the older buildings. It's people's basements, stuff like that. These larger, newer buildings are expensive. It's obviously because they're running a business and they need to make returns for their investors, but it's also just the cost of doing business as well. Construction is incredibly expensive. Labor is in short supply. Most of the people who work in the labor market in Victoria don't live here because of the cost of living here, so it's hard to find people. And then also importantly, the cost of materials and the expectation in building has gone up a lot in recent decades. New construction has to have seismic planning and radon systems, and the electrical expectations when planning a building are significant because of the draw that we're now expecting from electric vehicles. So yes, we are going to see a significant improvement in our rental stock. That's going to make it easier to find a unit. It's going to reduce the chaos of having to compete to get into something that's decent, but what it likely won't do is change prices significantly. Sure, if you're renting from a place around the corner and you're looking for a bit of a deal, you'll probably be able to better find one. But that beautiful new upgraded housing stock that's coming in the market is coming in at a premium. Another trend that we'll continue to see growing in the downtown core in particular is a move towards smaller households. The average number of people living in a house in downtown Victoria is 1.8. That really just shows how disproportional the number of people who live alone are when you consider all the families that live in our core. Now, the people moving to Victoria remain pretty consistent. We still have remote workers, contract workers, retirees, and small business owners disproportionately occupying our market. But over time, we'll likely continue to see our housing stock yield more towards smaller units. About 80% of our housing stock is attached housing like condos, and it's usually in 1 and 2 bedroom configurations. So what this means is long term, detached homes that are still adjacent to transit and walkability and the downtown core are going to be disproportionately good investments. These are properties that will perform well because they're becoming more of a rarity as opposed to the norm they used to be. Finally, and probably most importantly, as we continue to grow from being this small little city to a larger, more collaborative region, people's ideologies will change. People will shift from saying, I'm from Victoria, and they'll say, I'm from Royal Bay, or I'm from Sydney. They'll identify more with their immediate area because they'll have less and less of a connection to the downtown core. I think this is a beautiful thing. It's something that really shows the strength in the communities and the individualism that comes as we continue to expand. One important note is that this is impactful on our housing market. We see a lot more segmentation in how different areas respond to market shifts. In general, you'll expect that the downtown core will remain more stable as markets shift up and shift down, whereas areas that are a little bit further out that offer better value will swing up more dramatically in a rise, and they'll also come down a lot more when things fall. Ultimately, I don't think that you should make your housing choices based on this. Find a community that you love and love living there, but be prepared for it and be aware of it, because our market is already starting to trend in this direction. To bring it all home, Victoria isn't set for some major change or shift. In fact, it's set to continue on with its plans and just grow at a faster pace in the coming decade. And this is important because it means that we're not going to lose our spirit. Victoria is and will continue to be this ragtag motley crew of hippies and artists and people who moved here because they just want to be able to jump in the ocean every day. And that's what makes Victoria what it is. Ultimately, though, we are growing, and that will impact the people who live here. If you're a renter, expect better choice, but not necessarily significantly better pricing. If you're buying, expect that you should be really choosy about where you want to live, because that's going to be a huge impact not only on your investment, but on your lifestyle. If you're a downsizer, I would prioritize getting into something that has accessibility, because that's something that the city needs more of and is continuing to grow in the future, but it's not here yet. And ultimately, if you're selling a home, well, we're probably in for a few good years of market activity. So I would just plan to do it at a time that works for you, as opposed to timing things out. As always, I hope that you got value from this, and I love making these videos. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It really motivates us. And if you do have plans involving real estate, we want to be part of them. So you can use the link in the description to get in touch with me. And again, thanks for watching.